Okay, the #1 cheating story of all time. No story beats this story in my opinion. You have Mark Justice, who, as we know from the previous video, did his whole I'm going to add my 4th muscle sliver and I'm going to lie about throwing a defective one out, and then when I don't know a trash can, I put it in, but you know what? It's okay, I'm just going to leave now, although I can still play if I find it. I mean, no one's going to take, he didn't even try to look for it. So you have Mark Justice and Mike Long. Now, Mike Long, what is there to say about Mike Long, except that this is like 1 and 2 back in the day. So, an interesting event, side note to this event. Same event where Mark Justice tried to add a 4th muscle sliver to his deck, which wasn't really drafted. Huge judge call during one of the last rounds of Swiss on day 1 involving Mike Long and Mark Justice. In the last game of the match, Mike Long drew a card and yelled, "God damn it," knocking over the die he was using to keep his life total. So Mike Long knocks over his dice, and while he's trying to reset his die at a higher number and fixing his life total up, Mark Justice quickly adjusted Mike Long's life total down on the score pad while Mike was fixing his die. So it would be like a person knocking a die over, that person trying to like go up, like let's say he's at 10 and then he goes up to 15, and that other person who has 10 in the book scratching out 10 and putting down 5. It's just like insane. Like, and these are the top 2 Magic players. It's Mark Justice, the golden boy of Magic, and Mike Long, one of the best Magic players at that time. What? And at a GP Atlanta, the same event, Mark Justice couldn't find. At the same event, Mark Justice is trying to pull a muscle sliver, put it in his deck, and couldn't find the defective one. I mean, it's just a very long story. So undoubtedly, one of these players was cheating in this incident, and the judging staff took nearly half an hour to work out this mess. In the end, they decided to go with Mark Justice's life total, since Mark was keeping track on paper. This allowed Mark to untap and then kill Mike with 2 burn spells on the following turn for just enough damage to win the game. Now this time, Mark and Mike were fairly chummy, but Mike was fuming mad after the match. Legend has it that as the 2 of them left the tournament hall together, Mark was overheard saying, "Well, I guess that proves that they really hate you, Mike." It's kind of like, what's that song Rihanna sings? When a hurricane meets like a firestorm of cheating, then you get this weird ass scenario where both players are trying to cheat. I mean, can you imagine someone knocking over the dice at 10, putting it back to like 14, and then you quickly scratching out 10, putting 6, and they tell you, "Oh, 6. Oh, I have 2 lightning bolts, or 2 lightning strikes. You're dead." And then after tournament, be like, "Oh, I guess the judges hate you, dude." I mean, come on now. I mean, come on. Like, oh my gosh. Like, if this happens at a PT, imagine what happens at F&M. Imagine what happens at pre-release. I mean, come on. Jesus. Like, come on. Like, it's like the greatest cheater of all time versus the 2nd greatest cheater of all time. And both of them cheating on the same play. You cannot ask for a better example of how cheating was back in the day. Obviously now you have cameras so we can catch people cheating. We have the 2 explorers. People have smartphones. Thank God someone recorded that, because we all know that if that wasn't recorded, it wouldn't have been said. So yeah, be very careful, because this whole concept of people playing fair or whatever, I've noticed at F&M, people are pretty good. But pre-releases, drafts, when you go at higher level events, you have to be very careful, especially if there's no camera and there's no one watching. Because, I mean, let's take Sato for example. Here's your deck. What's going on? I'm just going to cut it. Judge, disqualified. Well, let's take ISO. Playing a 6 on-color mono green rare / mythic deck. Yeah, bombs all day. are David Williams. Marking your cards. Now, David, I don't believe did it. He's the only one I believe is actually innocent, but he was also disqualified for over a year, which allowed him to play poker and become much, much wealthier, so good for him. Mark Justice, not just once, but twice. I mean, it just gets ridiculous when you think about two cheaters, two of the greatest cheaters in Magic history, going at each other at the same time. Epic. Epic.